the most common problem that I find through all the anglers that reach out to me wanting help getting better images out of their Humminbird fish finders or just getting their fish finders to work correctly is bad installations. And just because you paid somebody to install it for you doesn't mean that it was done the right way. So today I'm going to show you how to fix those problems. A couple of problems I see all the time, and this really applies to all fish finder units, but my experience has been the larger the unit is, the bigger the screen, the more prevalent these problems are going to be. These larger units require a lot of power, and if they're installed correctly, they'll operate problem-free. You'll get good images out of them. One of the most common problems that I see is power cycle issues. So people go to start their outboard motor, fish finders shut down and restart. That's because voltage is dropping whenever you're going to power the outboard. A couple other really common problems are getting interference on the screen, some sort of clutter or static or whatever is showing up that shouldn't be there because of bad power or not having good clean power. And then another common problem is just having general issues where you're not getting the images that you should. Maybe things aren't working quite like they're supposed to. And I've found in my experience with touching lots of boats and helping people resolve these issues that a lot of times those issues relate directly to power problems as well and not having that good clean power. The good news is it's an easy fix. So I've talked time and time again about good clean power and wiring direct to battery. So what that means is you're going to run a power wire directly from the Humminbird power wire to your battery wherever it is in the boat, whether that be your cranking battery or a dedicated battery. Doesn't really matter either way. I run everything off of my cranking battery. We're going to wire direct from the Humminbird fish finder to the battery. Take that power wire, go straight into an extension wire, and run directly to the battery with a fuse in between. Skip powering through the panel of the boat, through fuse blocks, anything like that. That is a common cause of interference and voltage drops, is when you go through fuse blocks and power panels and anything like that. So we want to skip that, go directly through the battery. Make sure you've got good wiring, solder everything, use heat shrink tubing on it, get it good and solid. Don't use any kind of twist connectors or crimp connectors or anything like that. Solder or solder shrink connectors, what you want to use. And then run the correct gauge wire. That's the bigger issue and a problem that I see all the time. So I'm going to go back here to the back of the boat, show you what that means. Go online, pull the manual up online, and they will tell you in the book what gauge wire you need to use for your fish finders. I'll put a couple of links down below, and I'm going to throw a screenshot on here as well so you know what this chart looks like. It's going to be somewhere here on the screen. But if you go look at that manual, it's going to tell you if the length to run is X number of feet, you need to use this gauge wire. The longer the run is, or the longer it is to get from the fish finder to the battery, the heavier gauge wire you're going to need to use. If you will follow those instructions in the Humminbird manual, it will fix the vast majority of these interference issues and will fix all of these power cycle issues. Now, there's a little more to interference than just using the right wiring and make sure that it's soldered and all that. Sometimes you got to dig a little deeper to resolve interference issues, but the vast majority of the time I've found just wiring it the right way will resolve those interference issues. So I'm using a marine grade tinned and shielded wire. This is what that wire looks like here. This is 10-AUG that I'm running for my Solix 15. Now, this is a big boat. ProCat, Sea-Arc ProCat is a 24-foot boat. So I got a pretty long run from my console all the way back here to the battery. So that's why I'm using that 10-AUG wire. I've got a waterproof inline fuse holder here. You can see there, that runs inline directly on this wire, and then it's running directly to these battery terminal extenders here. So I've got everything for the house on the boat running off of these terminals on the battery, and then I add these extenders here that turn the post into a screw-on terminal, and I run all my fish finder power off of here. So I'm running my battery charger and my fish finder hot wire, and then I've got another one of these right down here, and I'm running my battery charger and my fish finder negative wire as well on that post extender. Again, I'll put a link down below to those. I have the inline fuse holder, and then these connections are soldered and heat shrink tubed. These are solder shrink connectors. They're super easy to use. If you're in a hurry and you don't want to solder and then use heat shrink, these are a great option. Again, I'll put a link down below to these as well. So that wire runs directly from the fish finder to the battery, Humminbird power cable directly to this 10-AUG marine grade shielded wire, straight back to the battery. The only thing in that connection is the fuse, waterproof fuse holder. Again, if you set it up correctly, good clean power, you shouldn't have any power cycle issues, shouldn't have any interference. And again, making sure that you've got good solid connections on there. Solder those connections, heat shrink them. Don't use any kind of crimps or twist ties or anything else. I'll put a link down below to show you those, as well as the battery terminal extenders that I use. All the wires, everything, just go down below. But again, if you will make sure that you have good, clean power running to your fish finder, you're going to solve a lot of issues. You're going to get better images, and you're going to fix all those power cycle problems. If you're having problems, rewire it the right way. Rewire it the right way. I think I got a little tongue-tied there. And you may be surprised as to what the results are when you get out in the water. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you have questions, go down below, leave a comment. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll be back next week with some more catfishing tips, tricks, and information. Maybe some fish finder tips, tricks, and information. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Till next time, I'm Chad Ferguson, catfishedge.com.